All right, we are live. This is Press for Truth Live. It is 4:20 in Vancouver. We are down at Sunset Beach right now, and we're going to be talking about the legalization or the upcoming legalization in Canada that can be expected. And as we have been warning for years, ladies and gentlemen, the legislation is very draconian. In fact, it was just announced a couple of days ago by the Liberal government, Trudeau's government, and some of the things in this piece of legislation are unbelievably bad for the future of Canada and Canadians. Some of those things being, well, for the fact that they're going to be setting up roadside saliva testing in order to find out if you have been driving high. And if you are caught driving high, you could do upwards of 10 years in prison. Another thing that a lot of people are excited about with the new upcoming legalization of cannabis in Canada is this idea that people are going to get to carry upwards of 30 grams with them at any given time. Now, one thing that this legislation had in it, which was a big concern to me, is the fact that it said if you are found with, quote, illicit cannabis, you could potentially be in prison for upwards of 14 years in jail. So what does this mean, guys? This means that the cannabis that is going to be legalized here in Canada will only be the LP-issued, radiated GMO seed, essentially. They want to reduce the medicinal benefits of the cannabis plant because they are in bed with Big Pharma. There is no way they were going to allow cannabis to become legalized here in Canada if we can just grow our own and have any old strain. That's not how they want this to work. In fact, that's why they've been getting things set up and their ducks in a line, so to speak, in the way that they have. It's a complete, total takeover of the marijuana industry here in Canada. You could essentially call it Marijuana Inc., if you will, is moving in and wiping out all the mom and pop shops who have really built this industry here. A lot of people might not even be aware that BC Bud is a globally recognized brand, really. And when it comes to marketing, let's just say, you would have to spend millions of dollars, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars as an organization to be able to come up with that kind of branding that's recognized globally like BC Bud. But that's precisely what the small independent mom and pop growers have been doing over the last few decades through engineering these strains and designing these genetics to have very potent medicinal benefits. And now what they're going to do is take that away from people, wipe out the mom and pops, and simply allow the LP weed to be the only stuff that you have access to here in Canada. And let's face it, guys, organizations like Monsanto, who have all the interest in the world of controlling every single plant on the face of this earth, every organism, every life form you can imagine, they want to get their hands in that. And you better believe they want to be involved in the upcoming legalization of cannabis in Canada, especially when the only so-called cannabis that's going to be allowed is LP weed. All right, we are here in what some call the farmer's market of cannabis, and I'll give you guys a view of what this looks like. See if I can turn this camera around. So as you can see, there's cannabis being sold everywhere, a lot of glassware, a lot of edibles. It's always been like an open source market for cannabis here at 420 in Vancouver. As you can see, there's always lots of bud on display for sale. If you guys have any questions, shoot them out. I'll be keeping my eyes on the chat here. We're now heading towards the main stage for the singing of "Oh Cannabis." Maybe you can hear that. Again, we're probably about maybe 15 minutes away from the big 420 countdown, so we're going to continue broadcasting right on up until that point. But I want to interview some of these vendors, some of the speakers, and get the opinion of some of these people who are directly involved in this industry. Lila M, am I in Vancouver? Yes, I am. I want to get the thoughts of some of these guys on the new regulations and this fact that it almost seems like legalization is somewhat of a Trojan horse here in Canada. It looks like they're managing to whisk through insane draconian pieces of legislation that Canadians would normally not be going for. Okay, these are things that Canadians would normally say hell no, but they're hoping that people will be too excited about the legalization of cannabis to care, and it's sad. I noticed the connection's getting a little worse as I get closer to the stage, so I'll show you some more of these booths while we're here. Just a reminder, if you're just tuning in, this is 420 in Vancouver. It's April 20th, of course. Please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/press4truth. YouTube has demonetized my content because they're not much of a fan of the kind of content I produce. So we need your support. Check us out on patreon.com/press4truth. All right, let's get towards the stage. We'll see if we maintain a decent signal, and I'll show you guys what kind of a crowd we're dealing with here today.
So everybody on this side of my hand, I'll step that way. Everybody on this side of my hand, move a step that way. Okay.
A lot of extracts, a lot of shatter,
Good.
a lot of weed, a lot of dabs,
Off the path, 'cause that's where the weed is going to travel.
and a lot of mud. It is pretty nasty out here. All right, they are about to toss out a whole bunch of free cannabis to the crowd. So we're going to try to get a little bit closer to the stage here, and we're going to watch this free-for-all. They throw out hundreds and hundreds of joints and bags of weed into the crowd. As you can hear the speaker, he says if everybody sits down, it'll stop the stampede. And joints will get thrown all over the place.
Only the people sitting down will have joints thrown at them. How much time do we have? What time is it? Yeah, okay. After we make that path all the way out there, there should be a path going out that way and a path going out that way. Can you guys... How organized a criminal set are we?
All right, we're working our way up the hill here. We're going to get all the way up to the top, right beside the stage. Why not?
Hey, Neil, do you want to walk the path ahead of them so they don't get... All right.
All right, we're getting up to the top, guys. Let's have a look-see, shall we?
Okay, girls, don't throw anything out yet. We're about 12 minutes away from 420. So
All right, as you heard,
where there are no other girls with joints. Find a spot.
we're about 13 minutes or so away from 420.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Everyone's having a good time here at 420. All right, we're going to work our way down because the connection's not very good up there close to the stage. And we're going to see if we can find some of these vendors to speak with about this upcoming legalization plans that have just been unveiled by the Trudeau government. But in fact, I want to show you some of these pieces of legislation right now. I have it here in my pocket. So I'm going to hand the camera off here. And I will just show you some of what we have here. Now, this was just released, I think it was 2 days ago, by the Liberals. Okay, here we have a list of some of the offenses and what some of the penalties for these offenses are going to be. Here we have public possession of the equivalent of more than 30 grams of dried cannabis, indictable offense of upwards of 5 years imprisonment. Here is the biggest one that bothers me the most. Possession of illicit cannabis, quote, illicit cannabis, summary conviction offense, upwards of 6 months imprisonment or fine of upwards of $5,000 for having illicit cannabis. Again, what do they mean by that? We're talking about LP-issued cannabis, not the mom-and-pop stuff, not your local BC growers kind of bud. We're talking about the GMO radiated cannabis, which has lost all of its medicinal benefits. Let's see what else is in the legislation here. Distribution to an organization, distribution of illicit cannabis, distribution of non-budding flower cannabis, all of this is an indictable offense upwards of 14 years in prison. So again, the cannabis that's going to be allowed to grow, again, is only going to be LP-issued weed. This is ridiculous. As we covered in our previous video on the driving issue, they're going to be setting up roadside saliva tests, folks. This is essentially collecting your DNA on the side of the road to test to find out if you are high or not. The problem with this is, as most people know, cannabis is in your system for quite a long time. You may have smoked a joint a month ago, and if you are caught driving with that in your system, you could potentially face upwards of 10 years in prison for that. So again, this is the kind of legalization that is really benefiting the crony capitalist insider fat cats who have been issued all these LP licenses. It's really Marijuana Inc., which is moving in and taking over an industry which the independents have built over the last 20 to 30 years. And again, we've been trying to warn people about this. You know, in my film, The Trudeau Deception, we talked about this a lot. I interviewed famous self-proclaimed Prince of Pot, Mark Emery, you know, warning him that, look, this is a dangerous position you are taking by galvanizing the youth, by getting everybody to vote in Justin Trudeau when you don't know what his policies are, what he wants to do with his wars in the Middle East, what he has in store for our monetary system here in Canada. Mark Emery didn't care about that. People didn't heed our warnings, and now here we are. He's not here. Jody's not here. Why is that? It's because, well, they got the big boot of the state clamping down on their face because they played the state's game. It's time we realize that the next leader who's going to be voted in is not the answer. He's not the savior. He's not the one who's going to bring about the things that people want. Again, this is not about getting what we want. This is about total control. All right, we are probably about 10 minutes away or so from the countdown. I see that I have a bad connection, so I'm going to head to a different area. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, still see me. If you have any questions, shoot them out. We're keeping an eye on the chat here. We're going to work our way through this crowd, try to get a decent shot of everybody lighting up at 4:20.
What time we got now? It's 4:30. We got 7 minutes left.
7 minutes till the countdown.
Everybody has a joint in their hands, and everybody has a lighter nearby, so that we can light them all at 4:19, which is happening in exactly 5 minutes.
The ground is incredibly muddy.
5 minutes time. You're gonna have the biggest 420 ever.
And you are about to see one of the biggest puffs of smoke from the Vancouver crowd.
Jody Emery, the persecuted cannabis.
Oh, Jody is here.
And activist extraordinaire. To say a few words right before 420. Get ready and we'll light them all at the same time.
Jody Emery, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy 420 Vancouver! The sun is shining, the people are smiling, and we're here to celebrate cannabis. But we're also here to protest prohibition. Because while we get to be here today free, a lot of our friends are behind bars and still being arrested every single day. So it's up to us to take a stand while we're still free. I face life in prison myself. I might not be free for long. I'm in court tomorrow morning with my husband Mark Emery in Toronto, but I promise you all that we activists here will not stop fighting for your freedom. We deserve freedom, dignity, we deserve acceptance and equality. We are peaceful people, and we're here to celebrate this beautiful culture that the government intends to keep criminalizing. Call your representatives and tell them to let the cannabis people be free. No more marijuana arrests, no prison for pot, amnesty for everybody who's been unjustly demonized and persecuted under these laws. Because look at you. You're beautiful. You're peaceful. We love each other and we love this plant. So let's send that smoke signal up and tell Ottawa that no matter how much they try to keep us down, they tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. Overthrow the government. Legalize cannabis for real and let us be free.
Right on, Jody Emery.
Too bad she didn't take our heeding and our warning over a year and a half ago, upwards of 2 years ago, when we warned what would be happening when legalization comes in. Her husband is being arrested. She is being arrested. They are ruining their lives right now, and that is because they championed for the state. They got behind and they galvanized the youth, and they got an entire culture to vote for the Liberals under this weed ticket, and that's how Justin got in, and he hasn't done it yet. He's holding off, and why is this? Well, we know that he's up for re-election very soon, and this is going to be another way for him to be able to get re-elected, is to continue using this weed ticket. Guys, we've been warning people about this. They're not going to legalize cannabis on Canada Day. You know, they keep pushing this back. Now we're hearing that they say, oh, well, it might not be a good idea to do it on Canada Day. So they're already saying they're going to change that date. And you better believe it's going to be moving back, not up. So, again, it's the monopolization of an industry, which has taken place here. That's it, plain and simple. Marijuana Inc. is coming in and taking over all the mom and pop shops. You really can't put it any other way other than these LPs who are monopolizing the industry. And I've talked to some of these LPs. I've gone to some of these licensed producer facilities in Ontario. And I've talked to the growers, and some of them are not even aware if their cannabis is GMO or not. Let's face it, guys, Monsanto's going to have an interest in this. They have an interest in every plant on the planet. Of course, they're going to be interested in the cannabis plant. And Big Pharma's in bed with our government, so we know that they're not going to allow us to carry around medicinal cannabis, stuff that's going to benefit us medicinally. Well, that would go against what they've been trying to achieve and their billions and trillion-dollar industry. But that's the point about this industry. You know, Colorado, when they legalized, they were expecting tax revenues of upwards of $100 million, and it ended up clocking in at over $4 billion. So it goes to show that they've kind of underestimated the size of the market, and I think other governments are taking notice of this, and they want to cash in. They want to make sure that they have all their ducks in a line before they legalize. Let's face it, this can be done with the stroke of a pen from our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. But the reason why is because they have to wipe out the mom and pops, and they have to be able to ensure that we're only smoking the radiated GMO crap that they're going to call cannabis, and all the mom and pops got to be wiped out before just take it over. And that's precisely what's happening. Now let's see if we can find some people to talk to if our connection is still good.
Legalize the weed right now from the north to the south and the east and the west. Burn up the split from calling up the trees. I sexy girls, them.
Here we are at the Liberty Farms booth, and we are here with the one and only Chad Jacket. What's going on, brother? All right, let me flip this camera around. All right, bro.
Hey, there we are. Hey, there I am.
Yeah, there you are. So, Chad, we've been walking around trying our best to tell people that the legalization that Justin Trudeau is trying to put in here is not what these people are going to want. In fact, you and I made a video a few days ago, and we pretty much called it before the legalization, before the legislation was announced, and everything we said in that video is coming true. What do you think, man? Here we are.
It's not something that I want to keep being right about, but you know, when you can see the writing on the wall, when you have eyes that see, you see these things happening, and you know what their end goal is really to try to control every man, woman, and child, and try to put us all in slavery and own everything. You know, so you know, you see the agenda of companies like Monsanto that basically just want to, you know, genetically alter every plant on the face of the earth and basically redo everything that God created here and claim that they themselves somehow are God and they own the rights to all this here when they don't.
Exactly. I was just telling the audience you can almost liken it to a mafia,
Totally. We're way worse than the mafia. See, the thing is the mafia, the term mafioso and all that. I really believe most of that is really invented. When you look back at all this, it's really invented from the grand oligarchy, those that want us to continue to pay taxes and all this stuff to them, and really want all the corporations in the world. If you're not paying, your taxes, you're considered mafia. You're considered a tax evader and a dirty mafioso if you're not, paying the largest mob boss on the planet, which is, the queen and the crown, their taxes. And we see it, when every prime minister gets in, it doesn't matter who it is, they swear to the queen and the crown, and then the perpetuation of the same agenda continues,
And one of the worst pieces of in this legislation that bothers me a lot, which I want to get your thoughts on, is this concept that if people are allowed to have 30 grams, we're being told. But what it says in the legislation is that if you are caught, if this so-called under 30 grams you have on you is, quote, illicit cannabis, meaning black market cannabis, underground cannabis that was not coming from an LP, you could face upwards of 14 years in prison. I mean, it sounds like they're just trying to get everybody onto their radiated, medicinally reduced cannabis and trying to wipe out guys like you.
Well, that's exactly it. It's you've got to be one of these few LPs or you're deemed illegal, and that's right now. That's everybody here is deemed a criminal right now. Every single person you see here, aside from maybe the odd LP that is maybe wandering around here, which I don't know of, but every single person otherwise walking around here is deemed a criminal. And all we've ever been trying to do is try to bring the truth to people, is try to, to do what's right in the face of people telling us that we're terrible, evil, wicked people while they drop bombs on countries, and we only bring an herb and tell people that this might help you. It might not even cure you. It might cure you with some elements. It totally might. It might just help you with some things. If you're dying, it might help you feel better. It might help you have a couple more meals a day. Who knows? But it's not going to hurt anybody. And these people have the nerve to just use our taxes against us, to lock us up, and then drop bombs and feed this terrible system of perpetual war and that really just feeds the banking system and all these corrupt sons of BS's,
Well, if we really want to get to the bottom of this, Chad, I think we need to hack at the root, if you will, which is the financial system. If we could just turn around this system of fiat and issuing currency and charging interest on money out of nothing, maybe we can turn things around and actually work towards a better world and have, legit cannabis.
That's a start. It's a start, but it starts in people's hearts. It really starts in everybody's hearts, and everybody's got to change their heart, Everybody's fighting this. I'm a Christian, Dan, and I believe everybody's fighting this from the wrong angle. A lot of people they think they can fight evil with evil, and they're not understanding that there is a reason that our world keeps getting worse and worse. And people will say it's the Bible's this, it's that. No, the Bible's the truth. The Bible is the truth, and it's a history book. And if you're not looking at it, you might not know what happened, and you might not know what's going to happen. And if you don't know what's going to happen, you can't try to stop certain things that, or at least slow them down. We're not going to ever stop it, but at least slow things down and realize what the end goal is there's really to enslave us all.
Exactly, and until people realize that it's going to continue, and like you said, maybe cracking open your Bible is not such a bad idea. Maybe trying to figure out how to get off of, paying interest on money that's created out of nothing, not such a bad idea. And then hopefully from there, we can work towards the things that are going to benefit Canadians, right?
It says right in your Bible, it's pretty easy. If we all could open those things up and realize what they say, it says right in your Bible that God created all the plants bearing seed that earth can use for the use of a man. And later on in the Bible, it actually speaks of what is going to come in the later times. And it even speaks that there's going to be people that will say that we shouldn't use those things which God created for us to be used for meat. It says, and that's what it calls the herb. It says it's to be used for meat, for us to be using. And if you don't know that that's what's going to happen, and that it also says that these people that are going to be doing this are listening to the doctrines of demons and devils. Now, if you don't know that, then how do you ever understand what's going on here? You just think, it's just greed. Well, if we all got on the same page, we could stop this thing. And I believe things start in the spirit world first. You got to pray. People have to, put their focus in the right direction, and it's gonna go in the right direction.
Well, of course it's God's plan, and my own family has been benefiting from this plan. I've had family members who have suffered from opioid addiction. I've got family members who have suffered from seizures. The cannabis plant has freed both of those family members pretty much from that. The fact that the government would lock people up and try to stop someone like my little nephew who suffers from seizures from ingesting a plant is just downright ridiculous.
Exactly. They want them hooked on some kind of pharmaceutical drug that's been patented, and your cousin couldn't grow it himself, or you couldn't grow it for your cousin. It's absolutely ridiculous. This thing it can't hurt anybody. It's like I said, it says in the Bible that God created it for us. It doesn't get any more simple than that. And when you realize that, these people, that they must be going against God, well, then whose side are they on? Right? So, I think it's kind of as simple as that.
Now, in terms of legalization, that is coming eventually, hopefully, maybe we'll get it someday. Is it possible, are we ever going to see a truly open, free, fair market? Do you think we can achieve that?
I think we have to. There's not too many industries left. There really isn't. If the people let this get away on them and just become another one of these other industries out there that just becomes basically a slave labor shift job, what else do you have to hope for? I think it's time that people get up off their asses and get out there and strive for freedom. What's wrong with a little freedom in the world?
Well, you've been doing just that with Grassroots Medicinal, with Liberty Farms, and of course with the Cannabis Growers of Canada Association. Tell the people a little bit about that, because I feel that's the avenue towards truly free open market of cannabis.
So the Cannabis Growers of Canada is basically a trade organization, a lobbyist organization. It's a voice for the people for cannabis, the small guys, the guys, you can be big too. But basically not these guys that are just jumping in there, with their best interest is to just, grab some license and put everybody out of business and try to lobby the government to put everybody out of business. That's not what it's all about. This is for the small guy. This is for the people that built the industry. And it's about time we all get together and actually, do something about this before it's too late. Because, it's been blood, sweat, and tears that built this. And with the stroke of a pen, they have basically hijacked this entire industry. And through steps that we've all taken to show people that we're not bad criminals, through the courts and all different methods, just awareness, we've shown people that this is a great plan, and we've gotten to this point, and then they're going to hijack all that energy and all that movement for themselves, and then rebrand us all as these terrible, wicked criminals and say that we need to be in jail for up to 14 years in some cases, when I don't even hear of terrible, wicked people that drop bombs on people like themselves doing that amount of time. And I'm not 100% sure on all the different terms that are handed out or whatever for different things, but I've been hearing that violent sexual assault gets less time than 14 years in Canada. So what's this all about? How can we even compare the two? It should be you can get prison time for trying to throw somebody in a cage for using a medicinal herb. Well, that should be. It should all totally be flipped around. You're not hurting anybody, and all of a sudden you think you have the right to throw somebody in a cage, strip search them on the way, and sexually assault them, and then treat them like a dog. Worse than a dog. I wouldn't treat my dog the way they treat prisoners, the way they treat people for cannabis offenses that are in there, and they feed them basically dog food. It's Well, it goes to show it's really not about giving the people what they want. It's really about maintaining their element of control
through this plant that they know everybody wants and is using anyways, but they're just going to monopolize it, take it out, wipe out the small guys, and we have to put a stop to it, guys. Guys like me and Chad have been warning about this for years now, and again, we there is still time to turn this around.
There is.
What are the links for anybody who's like, yeah, I want to get involved with this, man?
I wouldn't be here if I didn't think there was hope. I mean, there's hope. There's always hope, you know? We have God on our side. They don't. But we all have to realize that that's where we got to go. We got to get together. We got to start loving one another again. And we got to do this right.
Tell them the links if they're interested in getting involved with the CGC.
So go to canagrowers.ca. You can go to Liberty Farms. I think it's a .ca also. You can go to Liberty Farms on Facebook, Liberty Farms Instagram. You can go to Cannabis Growers of Canada on Facebook. Yeah, and you can leave a message for myself at Cannabis Growers of Canada, or canagrowers.ca. You can leave a message there for myself. You can leave a message there for my wife, for Dawn. Where is my email address here?
Sorry, we'll get it all. In the description of the video. We'll be sure to put that in the description. Any final thoughts, Chad? We're going to wrap up this broadcast. Any final thoughts, on the fact that we're seemingly just a year or two away from legalization, but, what do the people need to know here about how this needs to happen?
Well, the people have to have their voice heard. They need to realize that this is an industry that they built through blood, sweat, and tears. And they do matter. And they do need to have their voice heard, and they do need to be standing in a professional way, and they do need to be in these boardrooms with all these politicians, and they have to have their voice heard, and Cannabis Growers of Canada can be that voice, okay? And if we get enough people behind us and enough energy behind us, they have to listen to us, okay? So just get out there, check us out, see what we've done already. We need all the help we can get. We really do. We really need people to get focused. People are all over the place. They're kind of all in their own direction. I love everybody for that because everybody's super independent and awesome in the cannabis industry. But for this one moment in time, we got to come together. We got to unite, and we got to do this. We got to do this for us because there's no other hope. There's no other time than now. Okay, if we miss this now, we miss this forever. So the people, we got to get together. We got to have love in our heart. We got to care about this industry that we built. We got to care about those that are out there that want good cannabis, that don't want to use LP, terrible, poisoned weed that is making people sick all over this country, which makes me just tremble inside because it's upsetting that people are trying to heal themselves and getting worse. We got to do this.
It's serious, guys. I mean, people's lives are literally at stake. This is medicine for a lot of Canadians out there. So no more time for playing around. Chad Jacket of Cannabis in Canada, Liberty Farms. Keep up the great work, brother. Awesome stuff. We'll have all the links in the description. All right, guys, we're going to close it out here. As Chad said, it's up to the people to come together. We got to remember, this is often set up in a pyramidal structure of power, okay? But we have to remember it's the people who make up the base of this thing. And when enough people realize that and enough people step outside and say, no, we don't want to do it that way. We want to do it our own way. It's only then that we'll be able to achieve this. But if we just go along with whatever the government is going to suggest that real legalization is going to be, it's not going to be what we want, folks. So check out the CGC, canagrowers.ca, and get involved. Also, if you want to support real independent media who are on the grounds, getting this information out to you, check us out on patreon.com/pressfortruth. This is where you can sign up for a monthly amount. Of course, YouTube is throttling our monetization abilities right now because they don't like the content that we're producing here, but that's okay. With the help of you, the viewers, we can change that. So check out patreon.com/pressfortruth if you like this broadcast and if you want to see more live content from Press for Truth here on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth here at 420 in Vancouver. Peace.